Flosstube, it's me again, Jen from Jen's Stitching Itch. I'm here for my 5th video, and I've got several things I want to share with you today. I'm going to continue with my whip parade. If you recall from my last video, I talked about the fact that I have 3 of these baskets with whips, and we're on basket number 2. So I'll get to that in just a few minutes. I also wanted to share a couple of other things and to talk about the retreat. My 2 sisters and I went to a retreat in Franklin, Tennessee, which is just south of Nashville. It was hosted by Katrina Boyd. It was a small retreat, but it was a lot of fun. Katrina does a really good job making everybody feel like a part of a family and just having fun stitching and sharing information with other stitchers. So we had a really good time. Got a lot of shopping done too, so we'll talk a little bit about the shopping that we did. And then I also wanted to share some other things that have to do with kind of events of the summer. I'm going to talk about the row by row experience that the quilting stores participate in every summer, and I'll just share some of that from last year. But one thing that I had talked about last video and a couple of videos before that is the biscuit bowl. We've heard a lot about dough bowls, and everybody loves the wooden bowls, and I do too. I love wooden utensils. There's an artisan fair or bazaar every year around Christmas at our state capital called Chimneyville in Jackson, Mississippi. And it's artisans from around the state and other states that come and sell their wares, and I always enjoy going to that because there's 3 or 4 different woodsmiths that bring their wooden spoons and bowls and all kinds of really neat things. And I always buy at least 2 or 3 spoons, probably 5 or 6, 10 spoons. I buy a lot of them. This last year I bought a long bread bowl that was beautiful. But I've got my great grandmother on my mother's side. Her biscuit bowl. So this is a large wooden bowl that the women would make biscuits in every day. And it's big. And I've actually seen, we also have a place near here that they do a pecan festival every year, and then they do the kind of pioneer days, and they have people dressed up as if they're back in the old times, and they make biscuits in these biscuit bowls, cook them over an open fire, and then serve them to just people that are walking through. But this is my great-grandmother's biscuit bowl. So you can see it's a very shallow but very large wooden bowl. My great-grandmother used this, I don't know how many years, but when she passed away, someone went into her house, got what they wanted, and threw everything else out into her front yard. At least that's the story. And my mother and father went there years later, went to the old homestead years later, and my dad found this partially buried. I think he said it was kind of like this much of it was sticking out of the ground, and he saw it and dug it up and cleaned it up, and that's why it has all the termite damage to the back. But we've had this as long as I can remember. It was in our house, usually full of junk mail. My mother was a nurse. She had 5 kids plus all the other children that stayed at our house through the years, and she wasn't much for keeping a perfect home, so this was the catch-all for junk mail. And I used to clean it out and decorate it and put fruits and all kinds of things in it, and then they would pile it back with junk mail. But she gave that to me. I've had it probably about 10 years now in my house. It hangs in my kitchen, decorated, and it's one of my absolute favorite heirlooms. But it's beautiful. It's got so much character, and the fact that I know that my grandmother worked with this, or great-grandmother worked with this, makes it even more special. So I thought some of you would be interested in seeing that. The other thing I wanted to share was about it's not cross-stitching, it's quilting, but I know many of you are interested in quilting as well. And the quilt stores every summer do a row-by-row experience. Each store has a certain row design that pertains to a particular theme. Last year it was Home Sweet Home, I think. This year it's On the Go. And you go to these different, small business quilt stores, and they will give you a free pattern. And then if you collect those, you can make a quilt with 8 of the different patterns. And if you're the first person to, kind of bring your quilt in that's completed, even bound, quilted, everything, and it's made of 8 different rows from 8 different shops, you win a prize. At our shops, it's usually 25 fat quarters is the prize. So that's pretty nice, but I'm not going to be able to participate at that level, but I do like to get the different rows. And last year, it was the first time I'd heard about it. And I went to a little quilt shop that I love in Wiggins, Mississippi. It's right on Highway 49. It's called the Fabric Dock, and this was their row. So this is the first thing I'd ever seen. I was like, that's cute. I like the idea of a wall hanging. And it was just a little design that the owner's daughter, or the owner, designed this. And then you've got the little quilt, or the little pieced houses down here. And then this was just something you're supposed to just draw it on, but I'm an overachiever, so I hand embroidered that. Look at my satin stitches. I did a pretty good job. And I added the buttons because I thought that would be cute. And I actually added a little heart right here where my hometown would be. And, it's all hand stitched. And that's the little pin that they sold to commemorate last year's row by row experience. I'm a collector of collectible things, so I have that. But that just hangs in my craft room. I love it. I got a blue ribbon for it in the fair. But I also went to some other shops last year and got their rows. And I pieced them together, and it was a lot of applique. So I played around with my machine and learned to do some applique. But these are the other rows that I completed. So this is from a shop in Madison, Mississippi called the Cotton Blossom. And it's just a cotton field. And then this one is from the Stitching Post in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, with the little chickens in their chicken coop. And those are little googly eyes on there. I thought that was cute. And this third one is from Let's Make Something in Laurel, Mississippi. That shop owner is really sweet. And I bought the kits that went along with the free patterns. And the brown that they had in the kit, I didn't like it. She had run out of her original design. And she was really sweet. She's like, okay, we'll just go through the brown fat quarters and find one that you do like. And she just replaced it for me. I thought that was really nice. And then the last one is from Coastal Sewing Back in Gulfport, Mississippi. And it's just a beach scene. And I wanted to play around with something different. So I actually used the old, those little tubes of paint that the paint applique, and just painted along the edge. That's cute. Just something to do. I changed up the state of Mississippi. I don't want to offend anybody, but I didn't like the fabric that they had chosen. It was Confederate flag, state of Mississippi, cut out of Confederate flag, and I didn't want that on my quilt, so I tried to find magnolia, because magnolia is the state flower, and instead I just I made this little word bubble using a program online, and it's just all kinds of words that mean something to me in Mississippi, and just ironed it onto a piece of white fabric, cut it out in the shade of state shape, and used that. So, I've got snakes, because we have lots of snakes. And we've got lots of rivers. Mississippi River, obviously, but we also have some other rivers that are of importance, ecological importance as well. But that's my little contribution and adjustment. But I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I've pieced it together, and it's, I don't know. I'm going to figure something out. And that's why I'm kind of not sure what I'm going to try to collect the rows this year. We were supposed to leave for the retreat Thursday around 1 so we could stop at some of the quilt shops on the way. But because of me, we were late and we didn't get to stop at any of the quilt shops. But that's okay. I've got some around here that I can still go to. So that's the little row by row. If you're not familiar with it, you can Google row by row experience. And they even have a block by block with the wool applique. Oh, I want to participate in that so bad, but there aren't any shops in my area that do that anymore. But if you like wool applique, you can check out the wool by wool, or the block by block, I think is what it's called. It's through the same group. So just do row by row experience, and then you'll see on their website about the felt applique. While we were in Nashville, we did go to a cross stitch shop. It's the Stitch and Post in Nashville, and it's an older shop. The lady and man that run the shop are retiring, so they're actually doing a retirement sale while we were there, and I think they're planning on closing the shop at the end of August. But it was just amazing to go through. You know, they have filing cabinets with all of their charts, and you just go and pull out a file drawer and just thumb through years and years and years worth of charts. So, I mean, if you're near Nashville, it's a good place to stop. When we were there, everything was most everything was 40% off. I didn't buy a lot because I've got a lot of junk. You know, I've got over 100 whips, so I don't need to be buying a lot. But I did buy some of these little sleds. We don't get snow in South Mississippi, so I always confuse sleds and sleighs. And I know this is a little whatever. So I got 2 of those, and they were 40% off. So what is that? $4.20 a piece. And then I got 2 of the small ones as well. So, and I got this little bead from the Just Nan. It's the peacock bead, which I love peacocks. And I picked up a Chessie and Me chart. I think that's so cute. I like her books. I do several. I've done a couple of these. I have a couple of them in the queue to be done. And then I picked up this little Fancy That chart. There you go, Michelle from Stripe Rose, another pumpkin head person. I just think he's cute. So I'll get to stitch him eventually. But lots of fun. We had so much fun. We did the, Katrina always has an exchange where you get different gifts and put it in a box, and then you exchange with people. And there were 5 of us that participated, and I got some cute things. I got 2 different of those. They're not Yeti cups, but they're like the Yeti cups. I got 2 things like that. So a nice exchange. It was fun. Got a little needle, one of these little needle tins to hold your needles, and I got some Thread Heaven, and I got a little pot that's got an air plant in it, and it's got magnets on it, so you can hang it on the wall. It's supposed to hang on your refrigerator. Well, I took it to work with me, and it's hanging on just the door facing in my office. And one of my students came in and was just fascinated by it. And I was telling her, no, I'm excited. I'm going to get lots of them. I want the whole door to be covered with these little plants. She's like, you're always so obsessive. And I am. But it's really cute in my office right now. But we had a really good time. Got to spend some time with my sisters. I know I've said it before. My dad had a stroke back in February. And we've all helped take care of things. But my older sister has really been the one that has kind of carried the load. She's lives closer to my parents. I mean, I live close to my parents, but she lives closer to my parents, and so she's really been the responsible one. I think she deserved a break more than any of us, and she got a lot of stitching done, so I'm glad she enjoyed it. So, but if you ever get a chance to participate in Katrina's retreat, I would do it. I'm already signed up to go to one in, it says Memphis, Tennessee, but we're actually staying in Mississippi, South Haven or Horn Lake. That's at the end of September. I'm going to do that one, and I plan to go back to her Orange Beach retreat next February. And then if everything works out, I'm going to go to the same one in Franklin, Tennessee next year. So I'm sorry, I'm seeing things that are, try to make myself look better. Okay, so I think I covered all the extras that I wanted to talk about. Now we can go through the whips. If this is the first time you've watched my video, I'm one of those crazies that has way more whips than they need. I started a new project every day from August till the end of December last year, and so I now have over 100 whips. I do finish projects, and most of the whips you'll see, this basket, not as many, but most of them I have a pretty good amount of work done on them. But I'm a fast stitcher. My kids are grown, so I don't have to worry about taking care of all of their problems. Of course, My younger son started college this week. He's doing a Jump Scholar program. It's a special program where students can actually get a semester ahead for free. So he's taken 4 classes this summer, and he started today. And as we're getting him ready, we find out that his driver's license has been expired for a year. I'm like, Nicholas, did you not notice? He's like, yeah, I think I noticed, but I just forgot. And I'm like, well, so we went to get his driver's license renewed today. I thought we were going to have to sit and him take the test and do the driving, but no, we had to pay an extra $1 because his expired a year ago. So that was nice. And then, I don't know, it's just been one thing after another with that kid, and he's kind of been frustrated himself. He thought he was amazing, and now he's finding out he's just, you know, he's got problems just like every other kid his age. But I don't know how I got off tangent on that. But anyway, I don't have to take care of all the problems that parents of younger kids have to do. That's my point. But I've got more time to stitch than most parents. Of course, I do have a full-time job and plus other things, but I can't just sit and do nothing. I have to stitch or do something, and usually my afternoons are cross-stitching and watching Flosstube. So, and especially now, the semester ended today. My genetics class ended today. The students took their exam. We were all happy that was the last day, and we won't be seeing each other every day through July. And so my days will be a little easier throughout the next 4 to 5 weeks. Of course, I did just sign up to teach for a local private college, a week class for them, but that's only a few hours a day for 1 week, so that won't be too bad. And I got a promotion today. I found out I got promoted, so I got a promotion and a raise. So woohoo, finally. So let's get to the whips, because that's the whole reason that you are watching Flosstube, is not to hear about me, but to look at all these amazing projects that we all do. And so let's get to that. So this is basket number 2, and we're going to start with a Stacy Nash, which if you've watched my previous videos, you've seen this one and you know I like Stacy Nash. So this is Grace Bridges sampler, and it was released in 2012. And it's just the alphabet at the top, a couple of alphabets or 3 alphabets. And then it has those really kooky looking peacocks. I love this one down here. This guy down here is just too cute. And then I love, sorry, that's my phone. I love this little wagon with the pumpkin wheels. So, and that's a big yellow house. I'm stitching this on 40 count. And I don't know the name of the fabric, so I'm sorry. If I know them, I'll tell you. But this is 40 count. And I've shown it in a previous video. And I just think it's so pretty. It looks so old and antique. And so you can see that I'm getting some progress on that yellow house. But that's my progress. Pretty, pretty. I wish I knew what fabric this is so I can get some more of it. But I really like it. I'll have to ask Teresa. Teresa's coming over this weekend, and we're having, because it's the 4th of July weekend, so today is June 30th. And so our plans are to have a stitching retreat of our own. So she's coming over tomorrow. She's going to stay all day tomorrow, spend the night, and stay on some of the day on Sunday. So we may make a video too. So we've discussed that. Next up is a Brenda Gervais from With Thy Needle and Thread. And this is Grateful, Thankful, and Blessed. And I love the subtle colors in the words and in the boldness of the house. I think this is another beautiful piece. This one is up there with one of Plum Street that I talked about last time. And this is stitched on 40 count, and I'm not sure what type of fabric it is. It may be Birds of a Feather fabric, because it feels old. So I haven't gotten too far, but I like the colors. I think it's going to be really pretty. And it's 40 count, 1/2. Excuse me, 1/2. right, so the next three are just organized because they're out of a magazine. So when I was doing that start a day, I went to, like a lot of people, I kind of went to the magazines to start some small projects. So these are out of the Just Cross Stitch Halloween issues. And I do have the DVD of these, but I also have the hard copies. And I started them with the hard copies and purchased the DVD later when I found it on sale on Amazon. But here are the projects out of this one. This is the 2013. This is Ghoul Tidings by Plum Street. She's released this as a separate chart, but it is in the 2013 Halloween issue of Just Cross Stitch. And here's my progress. I think this is a little bit bigger. I think this is 28 count, but I think it looks great on this fabric. I love the colors. These are going to be really pretty. So, and the other project I'm stitching from this one is this little tin topper right here. Halloween in the pumpkin patch. It's just a little cat and an owl and some pumpkins with a spider. And I'm stitching this on just a piece of random linen out of my stash. And I've just got an earless cat started. I think I spent one day on this one. When I do these kind of whip of the day or a new start, I try to do like 1 hour of work on it. And that way I get, something, respectable start. And then I pick them up later when I do either the 3-day focus or my just random whip of the day that I pull. This next one is also from the Halloween, Just Cross Stitch Halloween. This is from the 2015. And I just have one out of here, and it's one of the little ornaments. So let me fold it so I don't get in too much trouble. But it's just this little, it's called the Enchanted Pumpkin. It says Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. And I think that's cute. Actually, Katie, the Stash Queen, was stitching this, and I saw her progress, and so I wanted to do the same. So I'm just stitching on a piece of 32 count black even weave. I think this is even weave. If not, it's just linen, but it's very even, so. But I think that's pretty. I love that orange on that black. So. I just have one out of that issue. And then last Halloween Just Cross Stitch is from the 2016, so last year's. And this one had a lot. When I was taping this video, I went through this basket once already, messed up the video, and I don't edit too well. So when I was going through, I kept finding more things I want to work out, I want to stitch on out of this one. So it's a good addition, I think. And I'm working on 2 different things. The first one is the Year in Chalk Halloween. So I'm stitching it on 30 count Weeks Dye Works charcoal. And I'm changing up some of the threads just so I can use what's in my stash. So the white is chalk from Gentle Arts, but then I'm using Clockwork for the orange from Weeks Dye Works. And I'm using, the green is actually a limited edition from something that I've gotten from Weeks Dye Works. No, Gentle Arts. So I don't think I even know the name of it. And then the other one I'm stitching from this issue is the Frosted Pumpkin, the Trick or Treat Pals. Because I just think it's cute. And this is just a piece of silk weaver, 32 count linen from my stash. So it's going to be cute. And I'll probably finish I'll frame eventually the chalkboard piece, but the little Trick or Treat Pals will probably just be a pillow. All right, next up is a Blackbird Design. This is Halloween Eve. And I think I've shown this one in a previous video, and I don't want to do all of it. I'm going to just stop there. Can't control my hand. So I'm not going to stitch this. And I was thinking I wanted to add the bottom border, but I don't think so anymore. I think it's going to be too much against this. So I think I'm just going to take this squiggle line and turn it and just run it right underneath there. So it'll just be almost monochromatic. I'm stitching this on 40 count. It's a piece of Weeks Dye Works. I think this is either Confederate Gray or maybe Putty. I think. No, this isn't, because they don't have Zweigart base, do they? Anyway, I don't know whose fabric that is, but it is 40 count, and I just think it's going to be pretty. And all the 40 count, I always stitch 1/2. That's one of the nice things about 40 count. Plus, it's so delicate when you stitch that on 40 count. It almost looks like those threads are, it sounds crazy, but almost like woven in. It's just beautiful. I can thank Teresa for getting me hooked on stitching on 40 count. Next is one that I've shown in a previous video. This is Halloween Heart from Barbara Anna Designs, because I can remember talking about that little kitten right there. She's so cute with her crown. And I've done nothing on this since the last time I've shown it. It's just a pumpkin, just a jack-o'-lantern. And this is just on a piece of 32 count Zweigart natural linen that's out of my stash. The next one is kind of a fun project. So my sisters, let's see, there's my older sister Sharon and my younger sister Bridgett, and then our friend Teresa, and then we have a friend Lisha. And we've all been stitching together for years. And we also have a friend Donna who has joined the Crazies over the past year and a half. Her husband actually works with me, and so she, I invited her to come hang out, and she just kind of fits in with our group. So we all stitch together. And we try to do round robins every now and then. It's been about 10 years ago, we all did the Red Thread series from Bent Creek, and we just would pass it to the next person in the group. And so it's a very pretty, very neat project that we took about a year to stitch as we got it through all of the different rotations. And it was fun, so we've been wanting to do that again. So I was out traveling on business, and I went to a store and found this purple fabric, this Peoria purple from Weeks Dye Works. It's 30 count. And I just thought that was beautiful, and to me that says Halloween. And so my younger sister and I had talked about doing the Halloween rules from Lizzie Kate. And so I called them from the store and said, look, I'm buying this whole yard of fabric so we can all do this Halloween rules on this purple fabric. And I bought it before they said no. And when I brought it in, they were like, oh, that purple's not going to work. It doesn't look good. This is the project that I want to stitch on the purple fabric. So we had enough to do 4 of these. So originally it was my 2 sisters and me and our friend Lisha were going to stitch these together. And then Lisha started, she got some of this top part done and she just didn't like it. And she's like, I'm going to back out. So she's a quitter. Hey, Lisha. But she didn't want to stitch it. She didn't like the way it looked. So my older sister said, that's fine. I like the way it looks. Why don't you give me your fabric? And that gets me a step ahead. So it was just the 3 sisters. And my younger sister, who likes to organize, came up with our rotation. So I'm Jennifer, my little sister's Bridgett, my older sister's Sharon, and that's our schedule. We're supposed to be stitching on those weeks or those months, and then we trade. And you can see right now we should be finishing up Sit for a Spell. Well, my dad had a stroke in February, and that's been our excuse. We pick on him and tell him he messed up our stitching rotation. But we're all a little bit behind. But this is my progress, and I think it looks amazing. Isn't that pretty? I think it looks perfect on this purple fabric. Now, we've made some adjustments because there were some purples that were too close to this color, but I think it looks fabulous. So I'm almost finished with Mine Your Mummy. I just have to put the little skeleton in his frock, and then it passes on to my younger sister. So once we do that, that gives us a month to catch up because we can do 2 of these blocks in a month. And we'll be finished by October. So it's been fun. I really, really, really wanted to finish it before the retreat so I could hand it to her. because she currently has hers and our older sister, because she's a slow stitcher. And I just really, you know, to make it just sting a little more, I wanted her to have all three of them at the same time, but I forgot it. So she's like, fine, that would have been okay, but so I'll give it to her this weekend because I don't think she's finished stitching on the other ones. Next up is a Shakespeare's Peddler reproduction. Yeah, that's right. I started calling them reproductive samplers, and I think that's McKenna's fault from, you know, if you've watched her stitch on The Birds and the Bees. But this is Hannah Carter by Shakespeare's Peddler. So it is a reproduction. And I love the saying at the bottom. It's something I need to consider. So have communion with few, be familiar with one, deal justly with all, and speak evil of none. It's good advice. I'll just leave it at that. But it's really pretty. I'm stitching it on a piece of 32 count. I think this is flax. No, this is, maybe this is pearl barley because it is lakeside linen. But it's 32 count. I'm just using some silks out of my stash. But I think it's going to be pretty. I'll put it in my living room when I finish it. I'm just using silk. So I'm using Smokestack from Silk and Colors Thread Gatherer, and then St. John's Wort. And there's a needle in there. Okay. So, and that's just St. John's Wort. But it'll be pretty. They're all pretty, pretty. I have everything numbered so I know how to put it back in its right place. Next up is a Plum Street. This is one of her deliveries. It's the Harvest delivery. And I think these deliveries are so pretty. I don't think I have the spring one, but I've got the Harvest and the Halloween. And I just think that's pretty. Those pumpkins. Can y'all hear my puppy over there? She's snoring and she just woke up and scratching. If you're wondering what the noise is. But this is my progress. So this is just a piece of silk weaver, a scrap that I had left over from another project. And I've got plenty of room. It's going to fit on there. And I'll probably finish this as some type of pillow instead of framing it. Now this next one is kind of out of character for me somewhat. It's a Jim Shore, what is it, Harvest Trio. But I love that pumpkin. And I do like beads. I do like to do beading. So that's the pumpkin. And it's supposed to be stitched on one of those stitching bands. When I tried to order that from an online shop that's really well known, they told me that the only way I could purchase it from them is if I bought the entire yard, because they didn't stock it and they didn't want to buy some and keep it in stock. So I don't have to buy 4 times the amount that I needed. So I said, that's okay. And I just went to my stash and had some 28 count raw linen from back in the day, and I'm just stitching it on there. So that's the first little crow. You can see I've got a few beads on there. But it's going to be really pretty. Oh, I'm sorry. There's that nose, itchy nose everybody talks about. Honestly, it felt like something just, I don't know. You can see my eyes just, it's like all of a sudden something flew up my nose or something. Oh, goodness. Okay. Next up, let's see, is the project I'm currently working on. So this is I've got my 3-day focus, and this is my focus piece for this yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And it's another Chessie and Me, and this is the Hillside Sheep Needle Book. So you can see the little sheep there, the little B-skep, and then the alphabet. And then you stitch a little section that goes on the inside with some sheep on it for your needles to go on. You can see you can put this little on this other side. You can put your scissors. So it's really cute. I'm stitching this on, I think this is sienna, but it's an old piece of fabric, and that's my progress. So that light green at the top of the hill, I stitched all of that yesterday afternoon, or yesterday evening, watching Emily C. on Eclectic Possessions. I watched McKenna on Every Stitch Counts, and one other Flosstube. There were 3 of them that I watched, and just whipped through that really quickly. So, I know, I watched Jimmy Flosstube. How can I forget? Our newest superstar. If you haven't seen his video where he interviews Stitching May, it's hilarious. It's so funny to me, and so I'm just gonna have to get me a Jimmy Flosstube t-shirt because he's a superstar. So you can tell the man is very smart because of his humor. Is, to me, like, oh, he's really a nerd, and just because he's got really good humor. Probably shouldn't call him a nerd. He's a superstar. So next up is Doubles Hip Hop Black Cat from Sam Sarah. I just love that little black cat. I picked this chart up every day that I went to Teresa's shop the whole time she had this available, and I never purchased it. And finally, I was at a shop in Alabama, and I picked it up there. And I'm trying something different. I've been watching the Flosstube, and everybody's watching. I mean, everybody's using these, very variegated threads, and I have some from back in the day when I would do exchanges. And this is Carrie's Creation Candy Corn. And so I'm like, I want to try that. So this is the thread I'm using. Very not Jennifer. And I'm stitching it on some of this Peoria purple, and that's my progress. So I had to pull out some because I turned it and the lines were going vertical, and I didn't like that. So I'm just kind of working it so that it'll continue. Even as it swirls around, it'll still be horizontal lines. But I think it's going to be cute. It's going to be, I mean, Sam Sarah is just quirky anyway. All of her designs are, quirky and fun. So I figured this would be a perfect pattern to try that. Okay. I have lots of Halloween. I like Halloween. Next up is another Blackbird design. This is an old one from 2002. It's a really old design. It's faded. It was in the window of a shop when I found it. So you can see it's been sun bleached. But it's a monochromatic. It's just stitched with 221 DMC. So it's very simple design. And I'm stitching it on a piece of the Weeks Dye Works 28 count gingham. This is straw and gray, I believe. And I think it's going to look so pretty. It just is very Americana, very colonial. And I'm even stitching it with wool, the Gentle Arts wool. That's mulberry, isn't it? Yeah. And I love this. So this actually is the next project. Actually, no, it's supposed to be Hip Hop Cat. I'm going to stitch on this for 4th of July. It'll come up on the 4th of July because I've got the weekend for Hip Hop Cat, and then this one, it'll work out. So, but I think that one's really pretty. Next is Honeyberry from Erica Michaels. So she has that whole series of the berries. And so this is the Linen Berry collection with the honeybee. We're supposed to harvest our honey this week, so if I get a chance to share pictures, I will. And that's my progress. This is on a piece of 32 count linen. Actually came out of a kit that I didn't want to stitch. I just bought it because it had linen in the kit. So it was on clearance at Hobby Lobby. Can y'all hear that? It's thundering. This time of the year in South Mississippi, it's every evening, every afternoon we get bad weather. It's the rainy season. So next up is a Raise the Roof design. This is from Teresa. Jolly Joy Jingle. This is the companion piece for her Booscurry Young. And it's stitched on 32 count Swamp from Picture This Plus. And there's my progress. So it's going to be cute. Just saw the needle. I thought I heard it fall. Let's see. Yeah, I probably just dropped that needle somewhere. Oh well, it's my craft room. That's okay if it's got a needle somewhere. Okay, 60. Next is another one that has two projects out of the same book. This is a Blackbird Design book. It's called Joyous Noel. This is one of their Christmas books. And I'm actually stitching this one on white. It's just in that MCG 32 count linen. I think it's antique white. And all I've got is just a part of this blue line. So I haven't gotten very far on that. And the other one I'm stitching is this one. So that's 'Tis the Season. And I'm stitching on a piece of 40 count vintage pear from Lakeside Linen. That's my progress. So that's the cardinal's head and his beak. So not very far on that one. And like I said, I haven't gotten very far on the Joyous Noel sampler either, just that top border. Can y'all hear the rain? It'll rain like that. I mean, it'll just really, really hard rain for about 45 minutes, and then it'll go away, and it's all muggy and sticky. Subtropical weather. So, but it's really pretty before the storm. I will sit out on our front porch and watch the storm, or go walk around out in the yard right before the storm. It's really pretty. Next is a Summer House Stitchworks design. This is a reproduction sampler, Caroline Behringer. And I love the fact that every letter is a different color. So this is on a piece of, I think this is exemplar, so 32 count vintage exemplar from Lakeside. So there's my progress. And I'm stitching it with the called for wools from Jim Lark. And so I teach anatomy and physiology. I'm a biologist. I say that every video, I know. But I have a student who I was talking in class one day about this phenomenon that people have called synesthesia, where it's like they have kind of a combination of their senses. So when they hear things, they actually visualize colors associated with it. And I was talking about it in a lecture course, and he was in the lecture, and he came up and he's like, "Do you want to talk to someone who has that?" And I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "Okay, you can talk to me." So we were talking about some of his visualizations, and he says that his letters all are represented in different colors. So when he sees letters, he sees them each in a different color. And so he, poor thing, he comes to my office and visits with me and lets me ask him all kinds of questions, because I'm trying to understand it enough to explain it. Because if you don't experience it, it's hard to explain it. So he's been showing me videos and everything, but he's a really good kid. And this, when I saw this, that's what it reminded me of, as our conversation about the way he visualizes numbers and letters. So next up is another one of Teresa's designs. This is the Magic Garden sampler from Shakespeare's Peddler. So this is an original Teresa, and she was inspired by the Alice in Wonderland with Johnny Depp. Look at that black chicken there. Isn't that cute? Can you see her? So I haven't gotten very far on this. This is on a piece of just random linen out of my stash. I think I've got it turned the wrong way. I think that's supposed to be along the horizontal. Yeah, I'm at vertical. So that's as far as I've gotten. Not very far. I probably spent less than an hour on that. Now this one is very out of my wheelhouse, I guess. This is something that I'm stitching for my older son. He loves video games, particularly Zelda and Mario. So I found this online and asked him if he wanted it, and he's like, absolutely. So I'm going to stitch it for him. So I've got a piece of just 32 count light blue or blue even weave. I probably picked this up at Hobby Lobby in one of their clearance racks, and I think it's going to look really good. So that's my progress. And that's from an Etsy store called Nerd Pillow. I think that's how you pronounce it. So it's one of those digital downloads. It's real easy to spend your money on those because it's just instant gratification when you download it. So, but I need to spend some more time on that one. Get that done for him soon. All right. We're in the 60s, and this one ends at 80, so we're getting close to the end of this basket. Next up is Honora Corbett. This is one of her Bewitching Pixies. I'm stitching several of these. In my last video, I showed one and said that I'm stitching them all on gingerbread, but that's not true. This one's stitched on Swirling Storms, 32 count Swirling Storms from Silkweaver, and that's my progress. And I think it's going to look really good. Those colors are going to just really stand out from this fabric. And the way that she's got her hands raised and everything, you can imagine that there's a storm behind her. So I like this. And I could say Mari. Some people say Mary, but my sister-in-law's name is Mari, and it's spelled the same way. M-A-R-I. So I pick on my nephews and say that this is I'm like, look, I've got a cross-stitch pattern of your mom. And she has long, dark hair, too. And they're like, Mom, that's not Mom. She would have a horse, not an owl. Okay. Which is true. She loves horses. Okay, this next one is another Stacy Nash. And last night when I was watching Emily on Eclectic Possessions, I'm thinking, that girl needs this pattern. So let me know, Emily, if you're interested in this pattern. Martha Agnes sampler roll. So it's a big kind of goofy peacock, and it's very pretty. But the saying is, my time is swiftly passing by, my day of death is drawing nigh. Those youthful hands I now employ, worms of dust will soon destroy. So kind of morbid. And Emily, I know that people do this to you all the time, but I'm like, she would probably like that. So let me know. I'm stitching this on a piece of, let's see, this is 32 count pecan pie from Silkweaver, and I haven't gotten very far. But this one is going to be, I love the peacock on this one. I like those kind of quirky peacocks that look like they've been shocked, I guess. And then another, it seems like when I show you a Stacy Nash, then I show you a Brenda Gervais, doesn't it? So here's the follow-up Brenda Gervais. And this is just Mary Noel. And I love the way that the letters are just about 3 shades darker than the fabric. It's not subtle, but it's not bold either. And then that cardinal is too cute. And this is on a piece of 40 count from Silkweaver from my stash. So I haven't gotten very far, but the color is going to be really pretty, don't you think? And I'm using, this is mulch. It was one of the garden limited edition series from Gentle Arts from years ago. Again, I'm trying to use up some of my stash and quit just hoarding things. Oh, hold on a second. I told you the wrong thing. That Mari, that fabric is called Winter Winds, not Swirling Storms. Swirling Storms is a darker color. So Mari, this gray fabric is Winter Winds. I actually had the tag in there. Now the next one is a pattern that I know I've shown in a previous video. It's Mimi's tape measure. It's one of the old Colonial Designs kits. So you stitch this 1/1 and make a little cover to cover a little tape measure that comes with the tape measure. And all the materials for finishing. And this is just stitched on a piece of 32 count linen that came with the kit, and it's 1/1. So that's why I'm going so slow. Here you have to draw out a circle and then just use a stem stitch to outline it, and then you stitch a design in there and you do the same thing for the other side. But it's 1/1 and I don't like stitching 1/1. I'll get to it. Oops. Next up is another Nora Corbett Bewitching Pixie. This is Minerva. We call her Minerva McGonagall. I took her to the retreat and stitched on her a little bit. And I am stitching this on the 32 count gingerbread from Picture This Plus. And that's my progress. She's going to be beautiful. So when we're at retreats, my sisters and I do this kind of goofy thing where we take a whole bunch of projects, we number them, or we put them in some type of order, alphabetical order, and then we stitch on them in order, or we stitch on them 1 hour at a time. So like one year we did a random number draw where we would just draw a number, and whatever number it was, we'd stitch on that for an hour. But we set a timer, and when it's hours up, you switch. And some of the people at the retreats, that just bothers them. They're like, why are you changing? What are you doing? But we all stitch in hand, so we don't have to take them off a frame. It's just easy to put it up and pull something out of another envelope. So I can understand why some people get a little unnerved by that. But, you know, we have fun doing it. Okay, so this next one is from Just Nan. And it's some of these little critters that she does. This is Miss Witchy Mouse. And I just love these. So I've stitched a couple of the bunnies and not finished them. I've got several of these mice. This is the only one I'm working on currently. I've just got this much done. This is just a piece of 32 count fabric. But I've stitched the hedgehog. And hedgehog's on the shelf behind me. I've got to show you this. Because this hedgehog cost me some money. I have to tell you the story about the little expensive hedgehog. So, make sure I'm not showing anything I shouldn't be showing. Okay, so this is the little hedgehog. And isn't he adorable? Oh, y'all see all that change? That lightning just struck near me. Power went off. So there's the little hedgehog. And you have all these little pins. It's actually not difficult to finish these, but this little guy cost me some money because so I guess with that power surge somehow it turned my computer off. I don't know, my computer's battery is charged and I'm using that, but whatever. So I'll just edit out all the mistakes. But this little hedgehog from Just Nan, little button on the back, cost me money because I stayed up late one night finishing it because I didn't want to go to bed till I finished this little sucker. And I forgot to set my alarm. And the next morning, my younger son was supposed to go take the ACT. And this was the December ACT, which is the last one that you can use to count towards scholarship money at the university that he wanted to go to. He needed 1 point, an increase in 1 point on the ACT to double his scholarship. And he missed that opportunity. So who knows what he would have made. Maybe, I like to think that he probably wouldn't have because I was up all night and he didn't sleep well maybe. But so that little hedgehog, we call him our expensive hedgehog. And I know he was old enough to get himself up. That's true. He should have set the alarm himself, but you know, I'm his mom and I'm supposed to ensure that he does what he's supposed to do, and I messed up too. So, little hedgehog. But he's gotten some other scholarships, so he's making up for it. He likes to remind me of that. Every time he gets a scholarship letter or something, he's like, oh, hey, here's some of that scholarship money. I'm like, good, because don't oversleep and not fill out the paperwork. All right, next is Tournecoton, and I don't know how to say the name on this one. I've shown this before. And this is just a Christmas tree. So very pretty. I think this is 32 count. Picture this plus, and I don't know the color. I want to say Whimsy, but I'm not sure what the color is. But it's pretty. It's going to be a pretty pattern. And I'll probably finish this as one of the flat folds and just put it on my mantle. I cover our mantle. There's not a space left at Christmas with Santas and Christmas trees. So that one will get shoved into that collection this year, hopefully. All right, next up is a Blackbird Designs. This one's My Pink Rose. It's one of the Reward of Merit pin keeps. And the original or the model stitched on that polka dot fabric, but I don't like that fabric. I know a lot of people like it, but I don't. So I'm just stitching it on a piece of linen from my stash. And then I'm going to do the whole tea dye, coffee dye afterwards to make it look old. So. All right. Next up is from the Primitive Needle. This is one of the sampler, the little alphabet samplers. She had several of these. This is the Mystic sampler. So I've done the Halloween sampler and the Voodoo sampler. The Earth sampler I've got in the whip basket that I showed in the last video. And so then this is the Mystic sampler. And this is just on a piece of silk weaver with a 40 count. And that's my progress. So not very far on this one. But these stitch up really quickly. Once you get started, those letters go pretty quickly. I think I've spent one day on this one. Okay, next is another, we actually have two Barbara Anna designs back to back. This is a Halloween tree. Okay, and I'm just stitching this on a piece of 32 count silk weaver from my stash. That's as far as I've gotten. This might be some more of that Winter Winds. It looks a lot like that. The same that I'm stitching Mari, the Bewitching Pixie Mari on. And another Barbara Anna design is coming up. This one's October 31st. Oops. My envelopes are sticking together. Excuse me. And this is another one of those sassy cats with her crown. And I'm just stitching this on a piece of 40 count or 36 count silk weaver. Oops, that was upside down. And I think this is hazelnut. Okay, and then I have another pattern called October 31st, but this is from Brenda Gervais. And it is so cute. It's got witch and pumpkins and crows hanging on the sides of trees. I love that. And this is going to be a lot of work. I mean, there's a lot of stitching in this one. And I'm just stitching this on a piece of 35 count, let's see, it's called hand-dyed linen, so it doesn't have a designer or a dyer listed. So I just have that top corner started. But it's going to be so pretty. I love that linen. It looks so old. Okay, and then a Plum Street sampler. This is Olga's Tart. So these tarts are just too cute. I've stitched a couple of them. And I find these tart pans at TJ Maxx cheap all the time. And I have to stop myself from buying them because I have probably 8 up to this point. But there's my progress. And this is just on a piece of 36 count linen. So cute. Hey, Lizzie. One of our cats just came in. And the last one in this basket, so coming to the end of this parade, is The Potting Shed by Brenda Gervais. So So all her little bee skeps in her garden. These little topiaries over here are too cute. And this is on a piece of 36 count sand from Silkweaver. And that's my progress. So this basket, I've got a lot of work to do. You can see that I have not stitched on these very much. The previous basket, each one of those has gone through one of my 3-day focus on a finished piece rounds. This one, I'm only about halfway through. So you can see that as I progress these other patterns, I'll get some time to stitch on each one of them. And so the same thing when we get to the last basket. Those have not gotten very much love because many of those I've only stitched on 1 or 2 days since I started them. So my plan is just to spend 3 days on each project. I've got enough that it covers the whole year. And I'm already starting to think about what I'm going to do next year. And I think next year I'm going to focus on a finish, like truly focus on a finish. So I will stitch on one piece until it's completed, but then I'll continue to do that random, whip of the day. And that way I'm still mixing it up. But I think I'm going to try something different next year. So it's the middle of the year. Today's June 30th, so I've gone through half a year, and it's time to start planning for the next year, I guess. So I just want to say thank you to all of the people that have been leaving such nice comments. I've got almost 500 subscribers. While we were sitting waiting on Nicholas to get his driver's license today, I was showing him all the nice comments and thumbs up. He's impressed, so I've impressed my 18-year-old. Had lots of great comments, lots of nice remarks, lots of well wishes for the retreat, so I appreciate that. So many of us have many things in common. We have such similar interests, and that's one of the things I love about Flosstube, is to find that there's so many people that are in different areas of the country, but we all have such, common interest. I'm still going to do the drawing for the Halloween Jack sewing roll pattern from Stacy Nash. So if you haven't watched my last video, video number 4, I talk about that, and you can leave a comment if you're interested in being in that drawing. I'm going to do the drawing on the end of next week. So let's see, the 4th is on Tuesday. So I'll do it on July 8th, which is that Saturday. Is that right? Yeah, July 8th. So I'll do the drawing then, and I'll find whoever wins it. I'll contact them some way and get that mailed to them. If you have any questions, feel free to leave comments below. Also, I haven't said anything this video, but I do have an Etsy store, Jen's Stitching Niche. So, a lot of the patterns there are things that I like to stitch. So if you've seen things in here, my kind of aesthetic is similar to yours, then my shop has many of these same types of things. If there's something that you're interested in that you don't see at my Etsy shop, just ask. Just let me know. I'll try to edit all these parts together, and hopefully I can get this one video uploaded tomorrow. But again, if you need anything or you have any questions, just let me know, and I'll try to get back with another video next week. Thanks.